Now, in and amongst this fast-changing local news cycle that we find ourselves in and the big stories that are breaking this morning, I just want to quickly pause for a moment to tell you what's coming up. We are going to be speaking to Dr. Oscar van Heerden. He's a senior research fellow for the Center of African Diplomacy and Leadership, and we'll be speaking about those comments that we heard coming from US President Donald Trump at the World Economic Forum in Davos yesterday and what to expect today. So important conversation coming up, but let's quickly go back to Sakina now just for the final time for the latest on what's been happening since we last spoke to her in Lenasia. And Sakina, I believe there have even been more arrests now.
Leanne, thanks so much, and welcome back to Lands. And yes, as you can imagine, it's been very busy this morning. And as we speak, we see the operators whose vehicles have been impounded. They are gathering to the right of the minister. And we started off the morning by speaking to Minister Creecy, and we're just going to wrap up what has happened this morning during this blitz. And of course, going forward, also touching base, Minister, on what's happening nationwide, because this is not a problem that's peculiar to Gauteng.
Look, these operations are going on across the country. There have been meetings with all of the MECs and the heads of the Department of Transport since Tuesday, and obviously we are having operations across the country. Of course, these operations tend to be very diffuse in nature and also very labor intensive, because most of these operators go to individual schools. They don't congregate at an exchange place such as this. So it means that enforcement operators have to be going to those schools themselves. But I think it's, even though it's labor intensive and even though it's going to take a long time, I think it's very important, because we do need to raise public awareness about the importance of scholar transport vehicles, public or private, being safely operated. And of course, everybody in the ecosystem has got a role to play. Department of Transport, law enforcement operators, school principals and education authorities, and of course also parents themselves. And I think that through the work that we're going to be doing, we always focus on public education, and we want to be enabling parents to have a better grip on how they can assess whether a vehicle and the operator is safe for their children, and we will be focusing a lot on that. I'm also pleased that Gauteng has set up a helpline so that where parents have concerns about operators, they can contact the helpline. Members of the public can contact their headline. Yes, of course. And I think that helps us with the overall campaign to ensure that private scholar transport vehicles are safer for learners and for parents.
And as we wrap it up, Minister Creecy, if you can just confirm for us the latest numbers in terms of those arrested and vehicles impounded.
There have been 3 arrests, and the arrests were for significant overloading. So people carrying 25 children in a vehicle licensed to carry 15. And there have been 60 vehicles impounded. Those vehicles will be taken to our pound. There will be explanation to the operators how they can get the vehicles released, and how they can then legalize their operations and ensure that we are providing safe transport for children.
Minister of Transport Barbara Creecy, and just wrapping this broadcast up for us this morning from Lenasia. And this, of course, this morning still remains a busy hub, and that's because people who drove here in unroadworthy vehicles, or perhaps weren't themselves properly licensed to be driving children, have been arrested, vehicles have been impounded, and of course, as the minister says, it is labor intensive, but it is something, Leanne, that has to happen to ensure the safety of our children, so that we never have a repeat of what happened on Monday. And unfortunately, as we heard from MEC Chilwane earlier on, another learner succumbing to their injuries this morning. So that brings the number of fatalities to 13. And I'm just told 14. 14 now is the number. And this is, of course, a story that is still developing given that the learners were injured. And as you can imagine, I'm surrounded by the officials and looking at them. And as I'm doing this wrap, they're indicating the number now is 14. And of course, one of those learners remains in ICU. Leanne, from Lenasia, it's back to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sakina. I'm seeing that coming through now from the department. And as Sakina was saying, and as we are hearing, that 22-year-old scholar transport driver is now facing 14 counts of culpable homicide. And that's, of course, for reckless and negligent driving after 2 more learners died in hospital in the early hours of this morning. So that's the story. That is that very, very sad story. And remember, he is appearing in the Vanderbijlipark Magistrates Court this morning.